Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Astatara Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace is Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanandi. Continuing part 3. In our morning session, we heard about Lord Shiva, Daksha, and Sati, and that little exchange, the Daksha Yagya, etc. And continuing something similar, a little different. One of the names of Lord Shiva, we heard many names this morning, Pasupathinath. Natha means the Lord of. Pashu, one of the meanings, is animal. Like sometimes Prabhupada would say that people that are not, they have a human body, but they're living like an animal, they're Dvipada Pashus. So a broader, a particular application of the name or the word Pashu is animal. So he's the pati of animals, the father and the Lord of all living beings. This is the definition that's provided here. He has a number of functions. We're going to hear something further about those functions. Here's a particular Pasupathinath temple, very beautiful looking temple in Nepal. And here's the deity in Nepal, the Pasupathinath. And here's a similar deity in a different place. Obviously, it's not the same deity. And of course, Lord Shiva, we heard a little bit about Nandi. There's a little different depiction of Nandi than the paintings we saw this morning. The bull carrier. And he has one of his sons, Ganapati, here pictured with Parvati on his lap, and of course there's big mountain range in the background, Lord Shiva. We're going back to Canto 3, Chapter 1. We did a quick review earlier. This is something Vidura, placing questions before Maitreya. And one of his questions, he had a number of questions, whether Arjuna, whose bow bears the name Gandiva, and who is always famous among the chariot warriors for vanquishing his enemy, is doing well. The reason is, Vidura is asking Maitreya because Maitreya has many, many, many things that he knows, and he makes a comment. He, Arjuna, once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows when Lord Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter. Now, so far, I've gotten the picture that many of you are quite familiar with Mahabharata. And this is a refresher for those of you who are quite familiar. But the purport to this verse that you see on the screen is Lord Shiva wanted to test the prowess and strength of Arjuna. And the way he decided to do was Lord Shiva took the position of a competitor. And the issue was over this is right from the purport from Canto 3, Chapter 1. He arranged that there was a boar, a wild boar in a forest, because Arjuna was in the forest. We'll hear the detail. And the hunter claimed when the boar was killed, it was my arrow first, so it's my boar. And then it had a quarrel over whose boar. And back and forth and back. And Arjun covered Lord Shiva with arrows, and we hear some further details. The objective was Arjun wanted from Lord Shiva, but Lord Shiva disguised himself as a hunter because he wanted to test Arjun's prowess before giving him his celebrated, nobody knows how to use it, weapon, the Pasupathinath weapon. Lord Shiva then revealed who he was and gave him the weapon. So, leading up to this, there was a confrontation between Lord Shiva, where Arjuna covered Lord Shiva with arrows, and Lord Shiva wasn't affected at all. So this is Canto 3, Chapter 1. A similar reference is found in Canto 1, Chapter 15. In this Chapter 15, it's Arjuna has come back. Arjuna was sent by Yudhisthira. I have this premonition. What's that? Krishna is going to depart. So I'm sending you to Dwarka to find out. Hurry back. And Arjuna was gone a long time. Finally, he made it back. And we'll hear a whole description on Canto 1, Chapter 15. There's a whole class just on that. But there's one of the verses from that Chapter 15. Arjuna was honoring Krishna this way. It was by his influence only, Krishna's influence, that in a fight I was able to astonish the personality Lord Shiva and his wife, the daughter of Mount Himalaya. So during our after-class discussion, there was the question, she was the daughter of Mount Himalaya, therefore Himavati. And there's another name, Parvati, the daughter of the Parvat mountain. So, which is it? Or how to understand it? And I said, I don't know. And somebody will have to research it because offhand I don't know. There's probably a nice answer. Does anybody in the room know the nice answer to this question? I'll do some research during our break between the next class. See if I can come up with an answer. Thus Lord Shiva became pleased with me and awarded me his own weapon. Other demigods also delivered their respective weapons to me. In addition, I was able to reach the heavenly planets in this present body and was allowed a half-elevated seat. So we're going to hear, as I indicated, this whole narration, we're going to hear it twice because it's such a nice one and an important one. And here's the background. This is in the early stages of the 12 years of exile, where the Pandavas are off in the forest, all 5 plus plus Draupadi. And there's a series of events took place that looked like it wasn't going to be very peaceful 12 months in the forest, plus 1 year incognito, and how is this going to happen? And Bhima being, Bhima, why are we following the stricture? Let's just have battle with these people. And, heroic Bhima, Yudhisthira cautioned him. It's not a good idea because, and gave all the reasons why, because, on his side, there's all these other persons already lined up, and they have their weapons, and they have the this, and they have the that. So now isn't the right time. then comes Arjuna, and Arjuna had his explanation. And Yudhishthira diffused Arjuna's explanation. And while they're having this discussion, Vyasadeva came on the scene. He's in the forest, the first year of their exile, and Vyasadeva said, essentially, Pandita Samadarshana. I see you both Kauravas and Pandavas equally. However, I see that you're being mistreated so badly that I naturally have affection for those who are mistreated badly like this. So I want to have a discussion with Yudhishthira privately. And so they had a private discussion, just Yudhishthira and Vyasadeva. And Yudhishthira, Vyasadeva advised, in the course of 12 years, they're going to consolidate their power and strength. There's going to be battle. So my recommendation is that I will give you a mantra by which Arjuna can travel instantly big distances. It's a private mantra. I'll teach you, you teach him at the right time. It was prophesied by this voice from the sky when Arjuna was born that one of the things that would happen was he would get celestial weapons. You're going to need the celestial weapons. So, at the right time, I'm departing now, but at the right time, you disclose to Arjuna this mantra, and he can go to higher regions, way, way, way up in the Himalayas. Favorite place for austerities is the Himalayas. And he can then propitiate the gods, starting with Lord Shiva, for their weapons, because you're going to need them. And he said his goodbyes, and Vyasadeva left, and Yudhishthira came back. And Yudhishthira was very thoughtful by his nature. He's not at all impulsive. And he considered and waited for the right time, and then he pulled Arjuna to the side. Vyasadeva has advised that according to the voice from the sky, at the time of your birth, you're going to have celestial weapons. Here's a mantra, and don't disclose it to anyone else, and only use it directly for the purpose of the Supreme Lord Hari. And you go in the North Country, engage in austerities. And you will gain the weapons of the celestials. So Arjuna chanted the mantra, and off he went into the Himalayas. And he, a Kshatriya warrior, he's not a Brahmana, but he did what is difficult for Brahmanas. It was a little bit like, what Hiranyakashipu did. Doing austerities was a big thing. And for 1 month, he ate fruits every 3rd day. The next month, he ate fruits every 6th day. Doesn't say how many fruits. And then that 3rd month, once every 2 weeks. Every other week, he'd have a nice fruit feast. And then for the 4th month, he didn't eat any fruits. He ate only air. Yummy. With his arms raised, standing on his toes. Remember that one? Favorite pose of Hiranyakashipu. And bathed 3 times a day, so obviously he put his arms down for his taking bath. And fully controlled his mind and senses, so much so that his body began to glow like the sun. And it's in the heavenly realms, it started to get heated up. And so the demigods, normally they go to Lord Brahma when there's a problem. In this case, they went to Lord Shiva with their problem. What to do, what to do? Arjuna has become so effulgent due to his austerities. What to do? And Lord Shiva said, I know what he wants, so I'll take care of it. You guys don't worry. So they left. And when they left, then the following sequence of events occurred. The sequence of events was that Lord Shiva assumed the form of a hunter, and a Rakshasa, no, a Daitya assumed the form of a boar. Wasn't like exactly a coordinated one. And the boar saw Arjuna in the forest, and the boar, as you see from this Leadist artist conception, he started charging Arjuna. And Arjuna said to the boar, Mr. Boar, this isn't nice. I haven't offended you and you're charging me, so I'm going to have to kill you, send you to the boat of death. And he drew his arrows and his bow and shot the boar. Meanwhile, at the same time, not far away, there was a hunter who was Lord Shiva, disguised as a hunter. And he shot his arrow, and they had some, who does the boar belong to? Like, they had a big deal over who does the boar belong to. And one said this, and the other said that, and Lord Shiva, in the disguise of hunter, said, I saw him first, and I shot my arrows first, and so it's the victim is mine, and the boar killing belongs to me. Arjuna disagreed, and they had some with that disagreement. And with that disagreement, Arjuna challenged him. Let's see. So, with that challenge, then there was a battle between the two. And there's a very lengthy, detailed description of that battle between the two. But it looks like the hunter had some buddies, at least the artist has depicted some buddies. The Mahabharata only describes the battle between the two. And Arjuna wanted to know, who are you claiming this boar is yours? And some back and forth. The hunter said, you don't need to be concerned about me, but what brings you here? Obviously, you are come from a royal family. You don't live here. This isn't your place. And so they had a disagreement over who had killed the boar. And so there was a battle between the two over who killed the boar. And the battle got pretty intense. And so Arjuna shot many arrows against the body of the hunter. Nothing happened. Then another series of arrows that hit the hunter, nothing happened. And then the hunter, who was Lord Shiva, sent hundreds of arrows back at Arjuna. And then back and forth and back and forth. So that this battle with arrows, and somehow, as we know, Arjuna had a quiver that could supply unlimited arrows, but the quiver went blank. So he didn't have arrows anymore. So then he picked up a club. Excuse me. He had other mystical weapons, and back and forth and back and forth. And there was a fight to the finish. And as they went on, it got to, with swords, and then with fists, and then with rocks. the hunter was able to smash all the rocks and all the tree trunks and this and that, and Arjuna was like, huh? And he was getting tired. But, he's still valorous, big battle. Finally, he realized this isn't an ordinary person. And it must be Lord Shiva, because we are way up here. Because his purpose was to get a weapon, the number one weapon of Lord Shiva, his Pasupat weapon. And so he fashioned a murti of Lord Shiva and started worshipping the murti of Lord Shiva, and he started sprinkling flowers on the murti of Lord Shiva. And while that was happening, the hunter turned into Lord Shiva when flowers are falling from the sky on Lord Shiva. So then 2 + 2 = 4, right? So then he came before Lord Shiva, now no longer a hunter, and offered his obeisance to him and offered his prayers to him. And Lord Shiva said, all along, I knew why you had come to the forest to engage in austerities. You were sent by Yudhisthira under the advice of Vyasadeva, and now I'm ready to give you what you want. And here's what you want. You wanted my special weapon. Here's my special weapon. And it's known not by anybody, what the weapon is and the mantras to release it. There's some conditions that I'm giving you, when it should be used, when it shouldn't be used. And Arjuna was very grateful, and Lord Shiva was very pleased. Lord Shiva indicated how Arjuna, could get the other weapons that were destined for him to receive. And that's, a very nice description. Now, if you recall, I made mention, here's the verse from the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7. My dear, great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. Now, he's often described as has his followers hobgoblins and rakshasas and pitas and, strange beings. But his function is protecting the Brahmanas so that they can continue their yagyas and their duties of Brahmanas. As protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the regular principles they follow, just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. So the cows, in this case, are being compared to the Brahmanas. They're protected like cows are protected. And in the case that we heard earlier, this reference is also made by Srila Prabhupada in his Bhaktivedanta purports about what Lord Shiva did with Daksha. He also had a stick, a metaphorical stick. He punished him. And in Prabhupada's commentary is, some persons can be improved or uplifted just by sound, and some persons can't. You need a stick. And then, like cows, they see the stick, and they move or don't move according to the stick. So that was a course of action taken, according to what Prabhupada explains, a course of action taken by Lord Shiva, because Daksha was like an animal that couldn't understand other than the stick. So he chopped him, or had Vritrasura do it. And it's from the same section. Now we're going back to the title of this little presentation, Pashupati. So Pashupati, the Lord of Pashus. Here again, Lord Shiva's punishment was just like that of a cowherd boy who kept a stick to frighten animals. It is commonly said that to give protection to animals, the stick was needed because animals cannot reason or argue. So, therefore, Pashupati, the term Pashupati. Lord Shiva is known as Pashupati, the protector of Brahmanas and other living entities. He protects them from attacks of non-Brahmanas or uncultured persons who are against the self-realization process. So he's a protector, one of his functions. And he certainly did that in dealing with Daksha. Prabhupada's commentary. The reasoning and argument dealings with uncultured persons who are against self-realization process is argumentum ad bakalam. Unless there's a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced are convinced by reasons, arguments, and scriptural authority, which is true. So back to the Daksha Yagya, this is a little bit from the earlier discussion. Prabhupada writes, persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals, and Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them, as he punished Daksha. Now this is from the 8th canto. All of that was canto 7, canto 4, chapter 7. So here's canto 8. When the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita that he is the father of all living entities, this refers to actions performed by Lord Vishnu through Lord Shiva by meditating on his lotus feet, his with a capital H. So Lord Shiva is meditating on Paramatma. We heard that. He's meditating on the Lord of the heart. That's one of the explanations he gave to Sati why, he remained seated and didn't say anything, do anything. Because he was observing and respecting Supersoul within the heart. And therefore the external behavior was not required because he was doing that within. Something's not right. Wow. Hang on. My computer has its own mind. It doesn't just respond to prompts sometimes. Okay, rescued. So this is Canto 8, Chapter 7. Now, when Lord Vishnu is in touch with his external energy, he appears in his feature as Lord Shiva. What does that mean? Vishnu never directly contacts Prakriti. He glances at Prakriti or Pradhan, and Lord Shiva is the glance. Is it clear? Lord Shiva, this is, this nice expression from Sri Brahma Samhita. Yogurt is milk in contact with a souring agent or acid. So milk becomes dahi. But so dahi is nothing but milk, but transformed milk in contact with a souring agent. Similarly, Mahavishnu doesn't directly contact Pradhan, but he glances at Pradhan. And the glance of Mahavishnu is Shambhu. And it's Shambhu that contacts Pradhan. And then Shambhu become transformed with this final sentence. When Lord Vishnu is in touch with the external energy, he appears in his feature as Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva directly consorts with material nature. Vishnu doesn't. So when the glance of Vishnu touches Pradhan or material nature, it becomes like milk touched by yogurt, or milk touched by a souring agent and becomes yogurt. So that's Lord Shiva is the yogurt, and Vishnu is Vishnu. And the glance is Shambhu. Okay. Here's a commentary by Sridhar Swami. Lord Shiva is well known to have received knowledge from Angira. Who's Angira? Angira was the father of Brahaspati and one of the Saptarishis. We're going to have a whole section on the Saptarishis. Stay tuned. The 7 great sages had one of their residences or ashrams in Haridwar. And at their request, the Ganga divided into 7 for the 7 rishis. And so there's now 7 tributaries of the Ganges that pass through Haridwar. Before that, there was not, apparently. So Angira was the father of Brahaspati, and Angira is one of the Saptarishis. Clear? Now, Sridhar Swami writes something that I'm not familiar with. I don't doubt it, but he's saying Shiva is well known to have received knowledge from Angira, and I didn't know that. But now we know that. One of the Saptarishis, Angira, gave knowledge to Lord Shiva, transcendental knowledge. And the same Canto 8, Chapter 7, there's another very detailed and lengthy description. Canto 8 is dealing with the churning of the milk ocean. I'm looking around the room. I don't see any blank stares, so you apparently know what that one is. The milk ocean being churned. There was a battle between the demons and the demigods, and the demons were successful. The demigods went to Lord Vishnu, what to do. He said, don't fight them because they're stronger. Cooperate with them. And cooperate with them by churning the milk ocean. And then you're on one side and they're on the other side. So the demons got their first choice. They took the head because they didn't want to hold the tail of churning rod, which is the churning instrument was Vasuki, a serpent. So they got the scorching fire from the mouth of Vasuki, and the Devas had the tail, no problem. Anyway, long description, churning of the milk ocean on top of a mountain that was placed on the back of the Lord Tortoise, Kurma, and churning, and as they were churning the milk ocean, some poison came out. And then what to do when the poison came out. So the suggestion was made, Lord Shiva, he's very magnanimous. Maybe he'll drink the poison. So he was approached and he consulted his consort, Parvati, and he said, this is a very dangerous and difficult situation for all living entities. I'll drink the poison. So that's what he did. That's, when his throat became bluish, he didn't swallow it, he held it in his throat. So his throat became blue. In case you find somebody with a blue skin, look at their throat. If it's a dark blue throat, you know who it is. The position, there's this saying, you probably heard it before. According to our Vaishnava acharyas, there are two topics that are very difficult. One of those two topics that's very difficult is Shiva Tattva. It's very difficult. To understand Lord Shiva is very difficult. And it's true. He has this, and then he has that, he has the other thing, and they seem like if it's this, it can't be that. If it's this plus that, and then the other thing, your head is spinning. You know, he's enigmatic. He's very difficult to understand. He's the Lord of the ghosts and hobgoblins, and he's the Lord. He protects the brahmanas. Etc. So here's Canto 8, Chapter 7. He's taken, as you see in this painting, there's Lord Shiva directly paying his respects before Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana, the four-armed form of the Lord. Here's the verse. Your Lordship, being celebrated as Lord Shiva, is self-illuminated. And commentary. It's another reason why Lord Shiva is called Shiva, because he's Shiva, he's auspicious. And that is, he's self-illuminated, like Lord Vishnu is self-illuminated. He doesn't need light from some other source. And so Lord Vishnu is called Paramatma, and Lord Shiva is Lord Shiva. Because Lord Shiva is directly an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, he is situated as Vishnu's direct representative. In this way, he has his own Vaishnava Sampradaya. This fact is corroborated by a Vedic mantra. Patim Vishva Syat Maheshwaram Shashvatam Shivam Achutam. The Supersoul is called by many names, of which Maheshvara, Shiva, and Achyuta are especially mentioned. Now, this is Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purport to this verse, so we can understand it's speaking in an authoritative manner. And there are mantras mentioned in this whole presentation of who is Lord Shiva. And the verse goes on to say, you are directly situated as the supreme truth known as Paramatma. So there's the non-difference emphasis because of his position. He's Lord Vishnu transformed. And therefore he's in his own tattva. There's only one in that category. There's living entities, there's expansions of Lord Vishnu, but there's only one in that category, Shiva. Known by different name, but one entity. And there's very interesting details. There's different mantras mentioned in the verse itself. 38 most celebrated Vedic mantras are generated from Lord Shiva's 5 faces. Difficult to understand, isn't it? Not easy to understand. Here, in a few verses later, this is what's in the picture is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Even the most intelligent person cannot understand what a Vaishnava like Lord Shiva is doing and how he is acting. Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam yata shambhu. It is therefore said, Vaishnavera kriya mudra vigye na bhujya. Even the most learned man cannot understand the words, activities, and symptoms of a person situated in love of God. Now, the painting is taking a meeting of Lord Shiva, or Lord of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meeting Lord Shiva, and notice in the background, there's Lord Brahma, four-headed Lord Brahma. And, so Lord Shiva is in a very special, unique position. And as mentioned, not easy to understand. Same verse. Lord Shiva is being described here as Atmarama. Atmarama, Those who are conquered by lusty desires and anger cannot estimate the glories of Lord Shiva, whose position is always transcendental. In all the activities associated with lusty desires, Lord Shiva is an impediment. He's an implement of Atma Rama. Ordinary persons, therefore, should not try to understand Lord Shiva and his activities. One who tries to criticize the activities of Lord Shiva will end up like Daksha. Lose your head. So, in one sense, this is fun. In another sense, it's bewildering. Because what is Shiva? Who is Lord Shiva? What is Shiva Tattva? Anyways. And it's very diverse and difficult to understand. Some verses later, Lord Shiva is always benevolent towards all living entities. When he saw that the living entities were very much disturbed by the poison which was spreading everywhere, he was very compassionate. Thus, he spoke to his eternal consort Sati as follows. This is from the purport. My dear Bhavani, just see how these living entities have been placed in danger because of the poison produced from the churning of the milk ocean. What to do? Lord Shiva and his followers, here's another nice painting. There's Lord Shiva, and look at the dogs and puppies and cats, and I don't see any hobgoblins, but he's the Pashu. He is the Lord of Pati. He is the father and Lord and protector of all living entities. So he's going to be protecting them from this poison. Lord Shiva and his followers in the Parampara system tried to save people from this dangerous condition of materialistic life. So there's the dangerous condition of the poison spreading from the churning of the milk ocean, but Lord Shiva's compassion doesn't begin and end there. He's generally very compassionate. In the case of the poison that was spreading everywhere, he drank, but he didn't swallow it. He held it in his throat. I don't know how you do that. I mean, you can hold something in your mouth, but once it passes your mouth, you don't hold it in your throat. But that's what he did. And this is Prabhupada's explanation, Paradukha. People in general, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always engaged in animosity toward one another, but devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. This is the characteristic of a Vaishnava, Paradukhi. A Vaishnava is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls unhappy. Otherwise, he would have no business teaching them how to become happy. Very sensible. It's the Madhyama position, those that are less fortunate but not envious, you show compassion. Lord Shiva shows compassion to everybody. And he knows how to do so. Most qualified. So here he is taking in his palms the poison generated from the churning of the milk ocean. You see Mount Mandara in the back. There's Lord Vishnu holding Mandara down. There's Kurma with the Mount Mandara scratching his back and forth and back and forth. There's the fiery element of coming out of the mouth of Vasuki, and then there's the tail. The demigods are at the tail. After informing Bhavani in this way, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. So, without swallowing, he kept the poison in his throat. Lord Shiva, who is dedicated to auspicious benevolent work for humanity, compassionately took the whole quantity of poison in his palm and drank it. As if in defamation, the poison born from the ocean of milk manifested its potency by marking Lord Shiva's neck with a bluish line. So it's not that his whole, you can see this artist captured the blue line in his neck. So it's not his whole neck became blue, but a line. That line, however, is now accepted as an ornament of Lord Shiva. So it may look like a birthmark or something, but this is auspicious. Continuing, it is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. Prabhupada in the tea stalls in Delhi, trying to compassionately preach Krishna consciousness. This is considered the highest method of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Continuing. Upon hearing this act, everyone, including Bhavani, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and the people in general, very highly praised the deed performed by Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by the demigods. Not worshipped by people as a demigod, but worshipped by the demigods. And who bestows benedictions upon the people. So there's someone at the feet of a very large deity of Lord Shiva. Now this is another pastime, and the other pastime is Lord Shiva is to be worshipped by the resident of Vrindavan. Nanda Maharaj made a decision on Shivaratri. Let's go to a place where we can worship Lord Shiva. So there's a place not so far from Vrindavan along the Ambika forest for worshiping Lord Shiva. There was a Shiva temple there. After bathing in the Saraswati and worshiping Sadashiva, a form of Lord Vishnu, they decided to spend the night in the forest. So you know what happened, right? When they were asleep in the forest, a big serpent came along. You know the pastime? What happened? You don't know the pastime. A big serpent came along and started swallowing Nanda Maharaj. A big serpent. He was sleeping. And he just, opened his mouth wide and like a boa constrictor or something like that. But a big guy. And Nanda started calling loudly, help. So the cowherd boys, they had some sticks from the fire that was used at night. They started beating. Nothing. He kept swallowing a little bit further. So what did Krishna do? Remember? He put his foot on the hood. And what happened? The serpent happened to be someone who had been cursed to become a serpent, and he transformed into another form. Krishna saved Nanda Maharaj. One day, the cowherd men, eager to take a trip to worship Lord Shiva, traveled by bullock carts to Ambika forest. Commentator Jiva Goswami says this was Shivaratri, a particular festival. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that this was on the 14th lunar day of the dark fortnight of the month of Falgun. And the place was beyond the Saraswati River, northwest of Mathura. Ambika is one of the names of the cows of Krishna. So while in that place, what happened was the serpent started to swallow. Yeah. After arriving there, they bathed in the Saraswati and then devotedly worshipped with various paraphernalia the powerful Pashupati and his consort Ambika. The cowherd men gave the brahmanas gifts, cows, gold, cooked grains mixed with honey. Then the cowherds prayed, "May the Lord be pleased with us." So there's the danger. And Krishna came along and just put his foot on the serpent, and then the demigod came out of the serpent's body with palms folded, offering prayers to Krishna. We're getting close to an end. This is from 10th Canto, chapter 76. There was a battle between the residents of Dwarka, the Vrishnis, and Shalva. So Shalva was a demon. He underwent austerities. He got the benediction that he could have a flying airship. And, big thing, and he could mount that big airship and attack whoever he wanted to attack with, and it was moved by the indication of the mind, didn't need a steering column, and had a big battle. Who was Shalva? Says in the text here. Previously, when it was the Rukmini's marriage, he was one of the ones that lost the hand of Rukmini, and Krishna won. So he wanted to get rid of not only Krishna, but all the Yadavas. So he intensely began worshipping Lord Shiva. And a whole year passed, eating a palmful of dust, yummy, every day. I mean, these guys, extreme, a palmful of dust every day for a year. Lord Shiva appeared. "What would you like?" "I would like a machine that can fly in the air and go anywhere, and I can torment the demigods and demons and humans." So Lord Shiva granted the request, and he asked Mayadanava. We all know who Mayadanava is, right? Mayadanava is the one who built Indraprastha. So Mayadanava he's for the Danavas, he's the Vishwakarma. He's the architect for the Danavas. He's very skilled. So he built this airship for Shalva. And Shalva goes flying around and flying around and flying around. and started attacking Dwarka. And he had a huge army, and they started, inundating Dwarka with this huge army. And from the airplane, bombarding, he didn't have bombs, but, tree trunks and boulders and other missiles. He was a nasty guy. So there he is, Shalva, worshiping Lord Shiva. And there's the airship. And guess what happened? Here's what happened. This is the last slide. Krishna took care of him. And when Krishna took care of him, then other persons came wanting to take revenge because Shalva got killed. But Krishna defeated them also. And Shalva's airplane came in for a crash in the ocean near Dwarka. And the demigods are up there in the sky honoring Krishna. Krishna did it again. So there's a little bit of a discussion about Pashupati, the Lord Pasupathinath, the Lord of all living beings, and mysterious Lord Shiva, and how he does different things for different personalities who worship him. Generally, the worship of Lord Shiva is not done without a motive. There isn't so much the teaching of worshiping Lord Shiva without a motive. There's teaching of Krishna without a motive. And it's anyway, Shiva Tattva is a very interesting Tattva. Lord Vishnu, but not Lord Vishnu. Not Lord Vishnu, but Vishnu. He isn't. He's like shell game. Move the shell around. Which one has the P underneath? There it is. You move it over there and it's not there anymore. He is, but he isn't. So his position is unique amongst all living entities. Jivas are eternally the fragmental parts. And Lord Shiva has an eternal position as the manifestation of the absolute truth in contact with Prakriti. And then, so who he is, that there's a simple definition, but then it becomes complicated quickly. But he's very merciful. And very easily angered too. Don't mess. Be respectful. Or you got a problem, you lose your head. Let's see if there's some discussion. We had some nice discussion this morning. This is a little more complicated.
Very well.
Hey, Sarva.
There seems to be a connection between Shiva Tattva and Guru Tattva. I know that in one Vyasa Puja offering, Tamal Krishna compared Prabhupada to Lord Shiva in the sense that Prabhupada was very merciful to the hippies, and he, sort of made himself very accessible. Can you comment on that?
You want me to comment on that?
Just on Shiva Tattva and Guru Tattva.
I'd have to hear the lecture to understand the connection, because I hear mostly disconnect. I mean, they're different tattvas, and therefore they're different statements or truths. So I see differences, but I don't see the oneness and difference feature. Because living entities, I don't understand. I'd have to hear the whole lecture in order to comment. Do you have a copy of that lecture? Or can you find one?
Did you ask Puja offering?
Is it a written one or a spoken one?
Written.
Written. If you can find it and send it to me or something like that, then I can comment. Without seeing it or hearing it being narrated, I can't comment.
The basic question is, there seems to be some comparison between the Guru and Lord Shiva.
Well, you're now saying Guru and Jiva. Guru and Lord Shiva.
Yeah,
Oh, not Guru and Jiva, but Guru and Shiva.
yes.
Because Jiva is not the same as Shiva. There's not a long I.
Oh.
So, connection between Shiva and Guru. That's what you're asking me to comment on. I'd like to see his Vyasa Puja offering, but certainly that what we heard just in today's class, Lord Shiva is a benefactor of this and that and the other. The range is, is there a limit to the range? From the Brahmanas and protecting them from the demons that may be harassing the Brahmanas and preventing them from performing yoga and Brahmana duties, that's a function of Lord Shiva. And is that a function of Guru? The Guru function is not specifically of protecting Brahmanas, but living entities wherever they may be, to give them shelter and lift them to the position of Vaishnava. That's a Guru function. Now, Vaishnavadam yata Shambhu. Shambhu also is the greatest of all Vaishnavas in lifting people to the position of Vaishnavas. However, gradually. But it seems, to me, that Lord Shiva is, in some cases, is functioning as Guru, in some cases is just reciprocating with desires of living entities. They want this, that, and the other thing, and he arranges this, that, and the other thing. He's easily pleased. So he arranges this, that, and the other thing. Without specifically, with the purpose of, may they take shelter of Lord Vishnu. The Guru function is specifically, may they take shelter of Lord Vishnu. So I'd like to read what he has written in order to comment further. I see I don't see a one-to-one correlation at all. Some similarity because Lord Shiva is a Vaishnava, and Vaishnavas want to see living entities, whatever they may be, come to the position of Vishnu, service to Vishnu. And that's a Guru function also. So there's, some similarity. But on the other hand, a Guru, someone approaches a Guru for, Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, here's this material want, Om Jaya Jagadisha Hare, just that the Guru is supposed to supply or facilitate this, that, and the other thing. Because Guru may say no, or on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, check it altogether. So the crossover, I'm just sharing, crossover to some degree, yes, but to a large degree, very different. And that's why there's different nomenclatures. The Guru Tattva function and the Shiva Tattva function. I think that's the best I can do without looking at the Vyasa Puja offering to see what he's written. Because he's meticulous. Tamal Krishna Maharaj was very, very specific, word crafter and selecting of language appropriately So I'd like to see. Okay. Someone else? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey, you're
Thank you
here
for
in
the
person this time.
Maharaj, I was hoping to hear the pastime of Tripurari, where Lord Shiva destroys the 3 cities.
I don't recall the whole pastime. How about this? Another class.
Sure.
Because I'm not Bhakti Siddhanta. You have something? Something way over here. Do someone want to stand up and walk the microphone over? Put your arm up. All you service-minded devotees.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So as you mentioned, it's very hard to understand Shiva Tattva, and as you explained that Sada Shiva is a glance of Lord
Yeah.
Vishnu,
Yeah.
and so how do we categorize in terms of and the other in the earlier lecture you mentioned Lord Shiva, so that's Sada Shiva and Lord Shiva coming out of Lord Brahma's body. So how do we consolidate that?
Well, Shiva is Shiva, or Shambhu is Shiva. So Mahavishnu or Vishnu does not directly contact and consort with Prakriti. But his glance does, and that glance has a name. Shambhu. Shambhu is another name of Lord Shiva, but it's a specific name of Lord Shiva. It's the glance of Mahavishnu, glancing over. So, and that he makes an appearance through Lord Brahma directly. Lord Brahma is, he has Shakti to do what he does. So he appears this way in a certain circumstance. And it's for a particular purpose. Because the 4 Kumaras disagreed with the request of their father. So Lord Shiva then takes the responsibility. But he manifests through the brow, so he can appear however he wants, and however Lord Vishnu, the creator, wants him to appear. He can appear however. No difficulty. By the will of the Lord, he appeared.
So Sadashiva or Sambhu is different from Shiva.
Here's where it gets complicated. Nomenclature. And I understand what you're doing. I've done it like a dozen times. And even after doing it the 12th time, it's still complicated. So sitting here in the temple room, parsing through this terminology, that one, and the third one, I'm probably not going to end up with "you're a happy camper." It's going to be, well, what about, because it's not easy to discern. And because it's not easy to discern, it's not easy to describe and assimilate what's being described. I can make it, I could do it. I'm willing to do it. But I don't think it's going to end up "you're a happy camper" from experience. It's very subtle and not easy to understand. You want me to do it? Okay.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I have 2 questions. One is, the milk ocean, is it floating in the space, or it has some kind of container in which milk ocean is?
What do you think?
I think space.
Yes, it doesn't require a container.
Okay, my next question is,
Like, what's the bottom of the milk ocean? There's no bottom.
I see.
There's no container.
yeah. The other question I have is kind of curious. For the long time, I've been thinking about it. In Vedic scriptures, snake is not considered a very good animal.
That's right.
Yeah, rather very envious, dangerous. And then so-
there's exceptions. Vasuki isn't the same. But keep going.
yeah. So my question is, from yesterday's class, and Lord Vishnu resides. He's resting on a snake, and I know it's not a regular
Yeah.
snake. That's one. And then from yesterday,
Not only he's not regular snake, what is he? He's an expansion of
Yeah.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you.
yes, and then from yesterday, Arjun goes to the lower planetary systems and interacts with the snake lady, and then has children. So, what is the compatibility here between a human being and a snake body?
What's the compatibility? Could you say it in a different language? You said, what's the compatibility? What are you getting at?
Well, what is the relationship? What is the relation? I mean, a snake body or a living entity in a snake's body. What is the relation? What is the compatibility?
Well, the snakes. Here's a simple, and then you take the simple and you start drilling on the simple, and it gets complicated. So, the Vasuki and Ulupi, who's the daughter of the king of the Nagas, they're celestial. Different than snakes that are not celestial. And snakes that are not celestial are in the category of, inauspicious and to be avoided. And then the celestial are different than snakes and scorpions. Snakes and scorpions. Anyway, that's a detour. Here's a detour. Prabhupada was visiting Bhaktisiddhanta one time in Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. And his room, he was on the veranda in the house where he stayed, and he saw there was a snake, and everyone was, in Bengali screaming and making noise about the snake. And then Prabhupada heard all the noise and saw Bhaktisiddhanta, and he said in Bengali, "Kill it." And that disturbed Prabhupada. Why would a sadhu say kill it about anything? And then time passed, and he read from Prahlad Maharaj, the story. So the sadhus become happy when a snake, or one who attacks without provocation, lethal attack, both scorpion, and they're to be killed. And because they're relieved from that just, very unfortunate birth, quickly by being killed. Therefore, mercy. So now that's the common snakes. Then there's snakes that don't bite, and there's the categories of snakes in this realm, and then there's celestial, and they're not in the same category. Now, I don't have an answer for the question, how does a naga have a form that Arjuna can marry? Now, what are nagas, anyways? What are they? What's a celestial naga? But, a female form that he could marry, and with whom, after marrying, he had a son. So, I don't have the answer to that question. Other than, it's same as Parvati, as the daughter of, Himalayas and Parvat. And that topic came up after class this morning. But she had a female form and became the consort of Lord Shiva as Parvati in Himavati. How that works, I don't understand. And even, artists can depict it. I still, that the art history doesn't explain it. But how an entity, the bottom line, there's person behind everything. So there's person behind the celestial Nagas, and the celestial Nagas have, form, a type of form that Arjuna could marry, and with whom he could have a son. Now, back to the auspicious, inauspicious. The celestial Nagas are not inauspicious like snakes of this realm. They're considered inauspicious because they attack without provocation, lethal. And the celestial Nagas are not the same. And Vasuki is same. It's a different category.
Yes.
And what's the function of a celestial Naga? That's a good question. I don't know. But it's not what the snakes of this realm, whatever that is. They have some celestial function. Apsaras and Kinnaras and Gandharvas, they all have a function. What do the celestial Nagas have as a function? I don't know.
Thank you,
It's
Guru
a
Maharaj.
different category.
Yeah. Yeah. So one should not feel disturbed by just the similarity in the form. I think that's where my disturbance is. I feel disturbed by the similarity, although one is celestial, one is
Yeah,
not.
but celestial is a nice adjective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's meant by that adjective?
Yeah.
There's a celestial function, and there's a form with that celestial function, a celestial function with a celestial form, and it's different than the worldly, earthly bound creatures. Categorically different. Obviously, Arjuna had a son with one of them, Ulupi.
Yeah. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Maharaj, here Pasupathinath means Pashupati itself is like is it a human form? Pashupati means maintain a control.
It's a name of Lord Shiva. So human-like, yes. Human, no. Human-like, yes. And then there's a deity that looked like this. At least one place it looked like this. And other places the appearance is different. But it's a deity form that's worshipped in this particular way. So your question is Pashupati in a human-like form? The answer is yes. Or say it the other way around. We're in forms like his.
Pashu means animal. There is no.
Yes,
other
that's the
different-
meaning.
Yeah. Hello. Pati means the one who controls the animal.
Well, Pati means father.
Okay.
Pati,
Father.
father. But, he's not literally the father of animals. It's just a name. He's very kind, fatherly-like to all types of living entities. And therefore we saw one of the paintings was there's Lord Shiva and all these puppies and dogs and lions and what have yous surrounding him. That's Pashupati. But it's not only animals, because Pashu can mean all kinds of things, as you see on the screen here. The Lord of all living beings. You see on the screen?
Yes.
So without discrimination, you're a worthy recipient of my mercy. I'm Lord Shiva. You're a worthy recipient, so I'm your Lord. He doesn't make distinctions like that. That's the meaning. Pashu.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I'm looking at the clock and it says we have 3 minutes. Yes, you have something?
This question is from Svetadvip Prabhu. He's asking, one of his friend is an ardent worshipper of Lord Shiva.
Really?
He's now chanting 16 rounds
Good for him.
and soon to get initiated. So he was asking, can he continue to worship Shivalinga or is it considered offensive?
It's not considered offensive. It depends on how you view Shivalinga. And obviously he's making some progress by having the right conception, the right picture in his mind, or the right intention behind the worship of Lord Shiva. If you worship Shivalinga with the intention that he is the greatest of all Vaishnavas, just like one of the 4 Vaishnava disciplic successions, Lord Shiva is the head of one. So, depends on the conception that one has. Okay, looks like we're questioned out. The bell's ringing anyways, 11:28. What's our little wrap-up announcements? We're going to have a busy day today.
Look, we're done.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The question is like, does Lord Shiva has an eternal position in the spiritual world?
No. My understanding is he's manifest and then withdrawn. He doesn't have an eternal position in the spiritual realm. So, the verse from Sri Brahma Samhita, starting at the top, Goloka namni nijadamni tale chatasya Devi Maheshu, and then that's in the temporary realm, Devi and Mahesh. Then there's the Vaikuntha realm, Haridama Suteshu Teshu. So he's in this in-between region, neither here nor there. But he's not in an eternal position in the spiritual sky. Lord Shiva is specific to material creation and the compassionate place of shelter of those in material creation. The Pashus means all living entities. It can mean animals. It can also mean all living entities. Okay? Mahesh Dham is not in Vaikuntha realm. Okay, go ahead. You got the announcements?
Thank you, Maharaj. What such a wonderful class. Can you give a big round of applause?